back to Green Mountain Mornings on 100.3 FM, AM 1490, 39 minutes past the top of the hour. I'm your host, Olga Peters, and in the studio with me is Chris Mays from The Reformer. Hey there, Chris.
Hello.
And just before I forget, I want to remind listeners that this segment of Green Mountain Mornings is being filmed by BCTV, and broadcast of Green Mountain Mornings tonight on BCTV is sponsored by Brattleboro Savings and Loan. Chris, tell me about what's happening along Interstate 91, where VTrans cut down all the trees.
Yeah.
And I know some people in that neighborhood,
Do you?
I think they call it the Winter Street neighborhood,
Yep.
Who are not happy about this. But you had a chance to sit down with both VTrans and some community members and find out what's going on.
Yeah. I got the sense that VTrans was trying to repair this contentious relationship that has developed since they cleared the trees. They were having issues with trees, and they determined that, hey, we're not going to solve this by cutting a couple of dead trees down. We're going to need to cut the whole thing down.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And it's the buffer between this neighborhood and Interstate 91.
yes. And so, that was last year, and neighbors, were very opposed to it. They couldn't really do anything. It was in the state's right of way. So I had written an article back then, and then I was starting to do some follow-up work. I was talking with some of the neighbors, and finally I said, hey, let me come down and, talk with you at your house and, see what it's like. And so I sat down with one of the neighbors there, and he shared with me some of the concerns. I called another neighbor, and he said, it's not that bad. We have a few trees in our backyard, and we think that they're going to try to, do some work to help make it even better. And so then the next day, or no, that same day, I talked with someone from VTrans, and it was raining, so they weren't doing the work yet. So they were planning to do it the next day, and that was put in more than 325 trees and shrubs.
Mm.
And I talked with one of the neighbors after the story appeared too, and he said, yeah, it wasn't the best outcome, and it wasn't, he would have liked the trees to have been a little bit higher up, but he said, between the article and the work, it was showing that, that they are trying to work with the neighborhood, and so hopefully things are looking better for the neighbors there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the impression that early on there may have been a miscommunication or a misunderstanding between the state and some of the neighbors about what work they actually wanted done.
Yeah.
And that led to all the trees getting cut down.
Yeah, I tried to drive from one end to the other to see, what it looked like to be like, to have trees and not to have trees, and it is a big change.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say.
It feels kind of exposed when those trees aren't there and all those trucks and all the traffic on 91 are zooming by.
Yeah, and to see it from 91 is one thing, and I've seen it a bunch of times, but I really wanted to get a sense of what it was like for these guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, it will be nice to see all the foliage back in and all these shrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably look nice once they've been established.
Yep.
Now, sticking in Brattleboro on the 18th is it the 6th annual Career Expo?
Yep.
Down at the River Garden. Did you have a chance to go?
Yes, I did.
And?
It was very well attended.
Good.
I've been there before, and it was a good turnout, but not like this. It was jam packed, the River Garden. They sold out of employer tables, so there was no more room for anybody else who wanted to bring their table and try to recruit employees.
Mm-hmm.
I talked with some of the employers who said, yeah, this is a great turnout. We had people waiting to get in. So
A good problem to have.
one of the organizers from Creative Work Solutions, she said that having that many employers there was kind of indicative of the job market here.
Mm-hmm.
People are really looking for people to fill in the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked with one woman who was kind of disgruntled about her experience trying to find a job,
Mm-hmm.
which was an interesting juxtaposition between the employers and the organizers being very upbeat about the event itself and, the reality for some of the people who are seeking jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she was in the manufacturing industry for 35 years, went to college for accounting, and now she's having trouble finding jobs that really support paying off that student debt
Mm.
and trying to find a place on her own. And she recently got laid off from a job. And so she was really kind of she was, laying her heart out to me. And it was kind of sad, but I'm sure lots of people are in a similar position.
Yeah, she's probably not alone. So it sounds like to me, if I'm hearing you correctly, her problem is not necessarily finding any old job. She could probably do that. It was finding one that economically would actually sustain her
Yeah.
and help her pay off her student loans,
Yeah.
which I think is a story a lot of people experience in this community.
Yeah, and she was hopeful. She had applied for a few jobs there. She liked how she could apply right there, and it wasn't going to be this process where, she was going to have to go online and she wouldn't know the people she was applying to. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And did you have a chance to talk to any of the employers?
Yeah, a little bit. I talked with someone from H&R Block, and they just like the event because they meet, they've been there a few times before, so they've met the other employers. So
Mm-hmm.
if they get someone over to their booth and they're not really matching up, they can say, "Hey, I think you'd be a good fit over there. Why don't you go talk with them?"
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of this community atmosphere at the Career Expo.
And did you get a sense of what types of jobs? Like, were they mostly office jobs that people were bringing to the table? Were they mostly manufacturing? I mean,
Um, Food manufacturing is a big thing here in southern Vermont in Windham County.
oh, interesting. Okay.
That was what someone at the BDCC's table was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Looking around, I saw the police, state and local Brattleboro Police Department. I saw
Mm-hmm.
the town there. The DPW was looking for people. I think the town itself might have been looking for people.
Mm-hmm.
You had the office jobs, the administrative jobs, and also the child care.
Mm-hmm.
So Chloe Leary from Winston Prouty was there, and she wasn't necessarily there looking for people to fill positions for Winston Prouty, but she was pointing out all these early learning and childcare positions that are available in the region.
Okay.
One of those was Mount Snow and,
Mm-hmm.
and and so on. And Mount Snow had their own table looking for people to work at the resort in, the regular resort work.
Mm-hmm. Will you go back if next year when they hold it?
Maybe. I think we're trying to sort of rotate annual stories right now if possible, but I would have no problem going. It's fun. It's cool to see what's going on in terms of the workforce and jobs.
Mm-hmm. Now, Chris, we have a little time left. We can't let you go without talking about the Hermitage.
Yeah.
Now, last time you were here, I think they were looking for an extension on a permit
Yeah.
for building a hotel.
Yeah.
What's happened with that?
It's a 79-foot condo hotel, so they would be condo units for rent
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And so they got one extension, and that extension expired, and they looked for another extension, and that would have been unprecedented for the
Mm-hmm.
Development Review Board to approve. And so they denied that request. They also mentioned that the agent, it was a new agent for the project, the new president. They
Okay.
said he wasn't familiar with the project, the permit application itself,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of showed how how they weren't really getting serious about this project yet,
Hmm.
and how they hadn't filed for an Act 250 permit, and they didn't think that they would get it done in the 2 years time they requested, so it was denied. And that doesn't mean that it won't be approved in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It just means they have to go through the entire process again.
So they're going to have to start their permit process from scratch, essentially.
Yep.
Now, part of that is what you just mentioned. So much time has passed, and it doesn't look like even if they gave them an extension, they'd finish the work. But wasn't there also some changes made to the design or some changes made to zoning?
Yep. There's been some changes in zoning, and so that height um, might not be allowed anymore under the waivers.
Hmm.
So it has to go through the process again. It will depend on what the board feels, and so yeah, that was one of the reasons too.
Okay. Well, good luck to the hotel. Good
Yeah.
luck to the Hermitage. Do they have some other projects in the works?
Well, I don't know if that one is necessarily in the works right now. They're trying to get it open, and they've recently announced to members that it doesn't look likely they'll open by Christmas, which was a goal they had.
Hmm.
They had done some assessments of the properties, and they didn't get the loan just yet,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still very hopeful they'll get this loan, and they'll be able to open this winter.
Okay, open the whole club.
Open up the mountain, yeah,
Okay.
the clubhouse, I'd imagine, and just the ski resort itself, the
Mm-hmm.
members only ski resort.
Switching gears just quickly before I let you go, we have about a minute left. Tell me about, there's a sweet story about a new flagpole in West Brattleboro.
Yep. The VFW here in Brattleboro donated a flagpole to the West Brattleboro station. Someone in the VFW would pass by. He lives in the neighborhood. He noticed there was no flagpole.
In
Uh,
front of the West Brattleboro Fire Station?
yeah,
Yeah.
there was one before construction, and it kind of deteriorated, and they could no longer use it. So the VFW said a new fire station should have a new flagpole.
Mm-hmm. And so it's up and flying flags?
Yep.
How much does a new flagpole cost?
I'm not too sure about that. It was donated. Two members donated it with some help from the overall organization.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to look next time we go by the
Yeah.
station. Check out the new flagpole. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yep. You're welcome.
And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Me too.
Well, actually, I'll probably see you at the library in a couple hours, but
Oh yeah.
on this show, I'll see you in 2 weeks.